In order for a muscle to grow, you need to continuously challenge them with more than they're used to. As simple as it sounds, most people's workouts don't accomplish this. Sure, they'll get a good pump and sweat out of their workouts, but they aren't actually doing much to signal their muscles to grow over time. To better explain this, let's take a quick look at the science behind what actually makes a muscle grow. So let's say we just finished a workout. Immediately after, our muscles don't actually get stronger. In fact, they become temporarily weakened from the damage that we put them through. It's not until after a few days of proper recovery that they adapt to the damage we put them through and will come back bigger and stronger than they were before in order to be better prepared for the next workout we put them through. However, no matter how good of a pump you get or how much you sweat, if that next session isn't providing muscles more of a challenge than the previous session did, then the muscle will have no reason to grow and will simply maintain its current size and strength, or in some cases, even start to become smaller and weaker. For consistent gains over time, your workouts need to be designed such that they literally force your muscles to grow every single session. Today we're going to cover the 5 ways to do just that. Increasing the amount of weight lifted is a method that most people rely on. To apply it, it's quite straightforward. Let's say you can currently bench press 100 pounds for 8 reps. Next week, you might try to increase the load and do 110 pounds for 8 reps, which would create a new stimulus for your muscles to have to adapt to and grow from. Now, if you're a beginner, then this method of progressive overload will be your bread and butter to help you make gains quickly. You'll likely be able to add 5 to 10 pounds to the bar every single week, especially on your main lifts like the bench press, the squat, and the deadlift. However, if you take our previous example of bench pressing 100 pounds in week 1 and adding 10 pounds of weight every week, at the end of the year, theoretically, you should be benching 620 pounds. As cool as that would be, neither myself nor Alex, one of our record-breaking Built with Science coaches, who can bench over twice his body weight, is anywhere close to that. This is where people get stuck. They rely on only adding more weight as their method of challenging their muscles to grow and eventually get stuck in a plateau. To break through this, we have to get more creative with how we continue challenging our muscles. This is where our next point comes in handy. When applied properly, adding more reps is another great way to force your muscles to grow. The way this works can be illustrated with a very simple math equation. If I can bench press 100 pounds for 10 reps one week, I can multiply those numbers together and calculate that I've lifted 1,000 pounds total across that set. If next week I go to the gym and lift that same weight but for 11 reps, I will have lifted 1,100 pounds across that same set. This means that by just adding 1 rep to my set, I've technically lifted 100 pounds more than last week, which just like adding more weight does, would create a new stimulus for your muscles to grow. But how high in reps can you go while using the same weight? Well, based on the 2017 meta-analysis, as long as you're continuing to push hard, you can keep the same weight and increase all the way up to 30 reps and still get the same growth compared to adding more weight. This is extremely helpful if you only have limited equipment or a nagging injury and can't increase the weight on your lifts even if you wanted to. However, for those who do have access to more weight, what we found to be most effective and teach in our Built with Science programs is something called double progression. This is a system that utilizes both reps and weight to ensure that week by week you're forcing your muscles to grow. The way it works is quite simple. Let's say you're doing 3 sets of squats for 8 to 12 reps with 100 pounds. In week 1, you could do 8 reps for each set. Next week, you'd aim to do 9 reps each set. If that went well, you continue doing that until you were able to do 12 reps for all 3 sets. At that point, rather than continuing to increase your reps, you could add 10 pounds and restart the process by going back down to 8 reps. However, again, this often only works for so long. What happens when you get stuck, unable to add more weight or do more reps? Well, here's where another often overlooked form of progression can come into play. The next method has to do with how many sets you perform. Let's say you're trying to build up your biceps. Adding sets can be as simple as going from 3 sets of 12 one week to 4 sets of 12 the next week. Using the simple math equation we used earlier, if we were curling 40 pounds in each hand, then each of our biceps would be lifting 480 pounds more volume in the second week by just adding that 1 set. It's a really simple way to add a massive amount of training volume to your program, and it's something we use in our more advanced Built with Science programs to help bring up lagging muscle groups. However, when using this method, you need to use it sparingly. Based on the literature, we know doing at least 10 sets per